Hey everyone, this is a long-awaited video that we're finally getting to. It's been on my to-do list, Louis, for a long time.
Same with mine.
To finally explain what Leave Those Kids Alone does on the keyboards front. You know what we do in terms of players. Ladies and gentlemen, the exceptional Louis Diab, who needs to stop growing merely so that he fits in the frame and doesn't make me look so short. So we're here with old Nelly, the keyboard that we first used when we started Leave Those Kids Alone way back in 2018. This is actually my Roland XP-30, and I used it probably from 2000 until 2012 in bands that I was a part of, and it only made sense that it was the easiest way to get up and rolling way back when the band got started. And now we've migrated to MainStage, Apple MainStage, which runs on, I don't want to say any Apple computer, but most.
No, most, yeah.
It's the very same computer that Louis, Monday to Friday, will type his essays on and things like that, web browsing, all of that. And then when it's gig time, we merely open up Apple MainStage and get to work. There's a whole lot more into it that we're going to explain. You're going to enjoy this video whether you know a lot about keyboards, about MIDI, or if you don't know anything and merely want to know the tools that we use to replicate these classic rock songs as close as is possible. And there's so many things that go into that. And as you can tell, we've got our screen capture happening so you can see what's on his screen. We've got the camera suspended above his keyboard so you can see what he plays, and of course our front cam. So where do we start? Maybe I'll start with a little bit of backstory in terms of, like I said, we use this plain Jane Roland XP-30 keyboard. I also had a Korg keyboard that I used, and love this. I used to play in a Shania tribute band, and this keyboard I got because it could do the best fiddle of any that I tried. All right, that's enough Shania for one video. And what's unique about this keyboard is obviously it has a lot of sounds built in, but Roland had an entire series of expansion cards. So whether you played techno, orchestral music, whether you played country, whether it was more dance, it had a vintage keys board that you could plug in. They were great. These keyboards will still garner about $600 to $800, and the expansion cards pretty much cost more now than they did. They were basically $100 cards back when they were first released. Now they're about $150 to $250 because you're talking about getting a used card. You got to find it on eBay or the like. And the problem is, well, there's a few problems. If you can imagine, editing sounds on this keyboard was no party. There's a, what would you say, Louis? Half an inch by 6-inch long LCD screen. Everything is data-based. So if you wanted to create a split, meaning this half of the keyboard is the piano, this half of the keyboard is the organ, what a mess. I mean, you had to go in there, you're pushing buttons, you're switching. It's a thing. And then there were always limitations. You can imagine the processing power of this probably equals 1% of the processing power of this. So Apple MainStage is basically a cousin of GarageBand. Whether or not you have a Mac, you've more than likely heard of GarageBand. It's the very entry-level but accessible, easy to use program that you can use to record music. MainStage is focused on live use. You basically set it up. It isn't used to record multi-track. That's GarageBand and its big brother Logic, which we of course use.
On steroids.
What's that?
On steroids.
Yeah, exactly. It's GarageBand on steroids. But MainStage is the tool that you'll use for live performance. Louis has two keyboards set up right here, a 49 key up top and a 61 key down at the bottom. Now explain, Lewis, these are dummy keyboards, right?
Yeah, it works as an interface, and that's all you need it for, because it goes to this amazing computer, which is kind of the brain of the music and works. And
by interface, what you actually mean is it's like a computer keyboard.
Exactly.
When you press A, the A character shows up.
Right.
When you press exclamation point, so this keyboard's the same. It has no sounds on it. It basically just sends through the very same USB wire that you'll use for your printer. It tells the computer this note was played, it was pressed this hard, velocity, and whether or not the sustain pedal was used, all that sort of thing. So this keyboard up here with a little bit more knobs and toys actually does have some synth sounds built in, but we don't use it for that. It's all MIDI, and MIDI is just information about the note that was played, and basically the computer takes that and translates that into sound. So when you get to MainStage, what you do is you basically build your physical environment. So you'll note we've got a top keyboard that has 49 keys, and we've got the bottom one that has 61. And so you just set things up like you need it. What we've done is there's a MIDI activity light.
Yeah.
So that lets you know when I press a key and that light is flashing, it's receiving signal from my keyboard. Let's jump to the perform mode, and then Lewis, show them as you adjust the volume output, you'll note that it's happening on screen. And so here we are. You can see our patch list, which we've created of all our different songs. For the sake of it, Lewis, why don't you just scroll through some of the patches, and everyone's going to see how all of a sudden the splits, what I mean by that is, there you go, there's a perfect example. So Lewis, they'll see where your hands are, they'll see the corresponding sounds. Give us an example of how the splits give us some different sounds.
so you got the brass right here. And then you get to this. And those are two different, entities of sounds, I guess you could say.
Exactly. Now, what they'll also notice is we've layered that brass. Play one single note, and hear how there's two octaves playing there. Well, that's as simple as saying, okay, brass, not only do we want this single note, let's put another entity of brass on it, make them different octaves, and one key turns into two to get it to sound exactly.
And obviously you can, adjust the volume of each one so you can hear the prevalence of one or the other, which he'll show.
Exactly. Let's jump
mode.
to the edit mode. So very same patch, and now we go into edit mode, and I'm just going to change the view a little
And
bit.
you could even solo it or mute it so it's not included.
And take a look. All the various sort of mixing channel strips with mixing board faders are at the ready for you to be able to adjust and shape the sound exactly like we want. So before we deep dive into how we then made the move to MainStage, because trust me, to get to this state, the different sounds, the different names, and here you go.
Oh, yeah.
You're about to get to the biggie right here. They were playing, well, how many different patches are there? It's like they were playing 3 different keyboards all at the same time. But we'll explain that in just a second. So we decided we need to move to MainStage. But when we did, remember, all the sounds in a keyboard like this, they sort of come gig ready.
Exactly.
They have effects, they sound good, they cut through the mix. Sure, your piano might sound a little, so
that's that.
is that a piano? Yeah, a little bit of a plasticky one. One might say I can get a honky-tonk tone. But is that a real piano? I think you can hear that. It's kind of a keyboard piano. Lewis?
I mean, you can already hear the difference right there, and then if we want to play,
Beautiful.
you can hear the sustain a lot better too, right?
So we said, one way or the other, we got to figure out how to make it happen. What helped? Roland Cloud. So essentially what that is I don't know the exact when, but it's unbelievable. They essentially took, remember I said all those expansion cards, the names of the patches are the exact same. So all of a sudden, we weren't needing to scan through 1,000 different sounds. MainStage, it's all there. If you dig deep, pretty much you can create any synthesizer sound you want, but you've got to do it. It's a very difficult thing when you're in the midst of gigging all the time. How am I going to make the leap from my hardware physical keyboard to MainStage? Well, all of a sudden, as soon as the patch names are the same, when I know I need, for example, D50 organ, and I know exactly how it sounds on the Roland, or I need tone wheel solo, and he's able to then, you can see the list right now, find that exact sound to the name. It makes it so much easier. So let's find one where it's a perfect match. D50 EP, okay? So fire that up while I find it here.
All right.
Okay, and ready?
Identical.
Give me just a C major chord. There you go. So one example, but it's a perfect match. Now, let's go to some of the synths. Loud syn lead. Perfect example, go ahead. So there you go. That was what finally made it accessible for us. Okay, it wasn't so like, oh my goodness, for every single patch I'm gonna have to find a sound, and the only problem with MainStage is the canvas is so blank. Like, which sound are you gonna use, which version, but that's very daunting day one when you're basically trying to very quickly sort of port everything over.
Exactly.
So Roland Cloud was definitely what got us rolling, but once you're settled, then you start taking it to the next level. And so we're gonna show you a few examples where the piano he just demonstrated in Come Sail Away, I'm pretty sure that's a MainStage one, right? A Logic piano?
Yeah.
And then there's more options, and basically the sky's the limit, and we're going to show you some of the cool plugins that we use to ensure that we're not replicating merely the notes, we're replicating the entire sound. Our first major upgrade came on the piano front, and it's actually thanks to the incredible people at XLN Audio. We actually reached out to them. We needed their piano plugin. It just sounded incredible. There's so many varieties of pianos that it has. And Louis, why don't you find a patch
Let's do that.
That features it. We reached out, asked if they had a promo code, and they were so cool. They basically took a look at a few of our videos and said, here guys, thank you very much. Make your pianos sound that much better, courtesy of us. So thank you, XLN Audio. Hugely appreciative of that. They make an incredible drums software called Addictive Drums. Highly recommend it. It turns your basic practice E-drum kit into any drum set you want, recorded at any studio you want. I'm not doing it justice in terms of explaining what it does, but rest assured, it sounds incredible. So let's actually open it up. Now, this is the coolest thing. So with plugins, look how visual it gets. We'll start right with, go ahead, this is an upright piano, and it's gonna sound it. Hear how, I mean, you can hear it. It's a upright right away. You know it. Now, click of a button. Give me some honky tonk. It's just so real.
Yeah, like you can hear the clickiness to it.
Exactly,
too. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's not a keyboard sound. Like again, let me give you a quick refresher on the old honky tonk that came from.
Right. And
But that's just the start. So if we were to jump to the gallery, and for good reason, that's our favorite. Yeah, love the way that one sounds. I love their stage piano. I think it's this one. Give it a whirl. Give me some Can't Fight This Feeling. Awesome. Wow. I think we should use that.
I think we should. let's put a star right there.
Yeah, put a star next to that one. That's great. Wow, that was incredible. Wow. But man, did I love bottom chords. Yeah. Let's hear that again. That's incredible.
That's
all right, get a star next to that one. How are we not using that?
Yeah.
Studio Grand, there it is.
Let's stay in REO. Not bad, not bad.
Awesome. Okay, intense keys. Now my guess is now it'll add compression, which creates a little bit more attack, or I'm completely wrong. Now you might not recognize, or you might not know what's causing it to sound like that, but you definitely recognize that sound. That's compressed. Mm-hmm. You know, it's really, and it makes it so punchy. All your individual notes are coming out.
If I was playing like
give us like a piano solo.
You hear that kind of little click. When I hit harder,
sounds to me like there's another patch that needs to be starred for leads. That sounds great.
Yeah,
that sounds great. So again, XLN audio. Thank you. Without addictive keys, pianos would sound sadly. Listen to that comparison to what you just heard. Right? Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's not, and I don't even mind that patch.
No.
Oh, I already said no more Shania. Okay, so that is the piano end of thing. Let's jump to organ, because where you made an absolute, just transformed your playing is when I think you fell in love with the B3 organ.
I think I did.
Yeah, exactly. And what it could sound like. And it started last year. And just give us some examples of how real. Sometimes people might see you doing some things with your left hand. Explain what's happening there, and let's hear this incredible organ.
So I'm actually going to start off with something that I think really rejuvenated an organ solo, one of the better ones. This one's Roll with the Changes.
Let's see it. And doesn't it look cool? Like, that's the other part that's so awesome. It's like, forget the fact that it sounds great. They give you this incredible graphic user interface that, you know, sort of plays tribute to the instrument. We'll talk about the drawbars in a bit, all the different buttons. They make it match. If that switch is on the instrument, it's there.
All right, so you can obviously solo, and it sounds, I mean, if we can pull, I don't know if we still have Roll with the Changes on there.
That's what it is. Yep.
Yeah, on the Roland.
It's
night and day.
Well,
I think we need to start off with this.
Yes,
give it a little,
So here is it's an organ.
I think it's screaming.
Listen to all that texture. Listen to all that texture when, and then. Excellent. So what's happening there, when you move the modulation,
you hear that higher tone in the organ, which, I mean, it works for some songs. I probably shouldn't have done that.
No.
I don't think I've done that any.
It opens it up. It opens up that.
Now this has a bit, like, I think it's a little bit more of a driven patch, so you won't really understand the presence as much as on like a softer organ patch.
Yeah, jump to a different one.
Like Mary Jane. We can see the Leslie in action.
Yeah, you can see it spinning right in the GUI as well. Yeah, exactly.
And then right there, so you can see.
So when you adjusted the modulation, they have a preset which made several. Or yeah, that's wild. So it's basically, and if you hold the wheel at different spots, they're adjusting. Yeah, that's neat. I didn't realize that.
So you would go, you hear a different, like a morph in the sound, right? So you go, then it gets a little more underwater. Then you hear that jazzier high end.
Exactly. Now here's the crazy part. You'll note that this top keyboard is filled with sliders, knobs. All of that is completely assignable. So just like, let's use the example again, just like when he uses the master volume and it's on the keyboard and it physically affects what's happening here in MainStage, the exact same thing could be done with all of these sliders. You could map them to these drawbars. You can get as detailed as you want. So the organ that's built right in, and this is the important part to know, MainStage is a $29 program. All of that, synths, so many that can, with work, emulate any synth that's out there, vintage electric piano, that organ, a really good piano. Awesome.
So you can tell.
Yeah, that piano comes with Logic. So it's a huge upgrade right away from traditional keyboards, and you're getting that for your, or it comes with MainStage for a mere 29 bucks. And so again, all the sounds you need are definitely there. Now, let's jump to really where things went to the next level. And we have Mr. Sawyer to thank for that. Give us the bass note.
I think it does its job.
And we learned that there was a keyboard called an Oberheim. And I have to admit, I knew about the Jupiter, I knew about the Prophet, keyboards that were the vintage sort of keyboards. Yeah, that were used for these sounds. Keyboards like this, the 90s, these weren't used to create those vintage sounds. These merely replicated them for bands that were covering them. If you wanted those real sounds, those were sort of 70s and 80s synths that, were loaded with knobs and programming that. You better have went to MIT to have an understanding of how to even do that.
Yeah.
So, in the midst of learning Tom Sawyer, we needed to find the real sounds. It just
can't go wrong.
It's the sound. It's emulating the Oberheim. That introduced us to Sonic Project's OPX Pro 2. And so when you see a patch called Halen Jump, I think you know what you're about to hear.
I think it's going to make us jump.
Awesome. Oops. We don't play that song. It's crazy. It's great. That's a pretty good guess. And now, okay, where do you want to go? Easy. Yeah. Someone wants to hear fooling yourself in our set, and as soon as they hear that you know how to play it, then there'll be no excuse.
70%.
Then there'll be no excuse.
Yeah, exactly. But for the ABBA fans, I think. Yeah, gimme, I guess.
Where's that? ABBA gimme?
Yeah.
Flute or the bass?
Flute. Yeah, like
I don't know.
Sort of close.
Isn't that a Madonna song?
No, that's ABBA.
No, but it is.
Maybe.
Yeah, she used it.
Oh, she used it. Yeah.
What is it called? Come on. I don't know. The odds of this part getting edited out are extremely high.
Yeah, I think we might.
Extremely high. OPX Pro 2 by Sonic Projects. We reached out to them because they just released OPX Pro 3. And it comes with not one bank of famous sounds you know and love, 5. And so that's probably like 500 sounds. Sent them an email. Incredible folks there who gave the band a listen. we just wanted a promo code to maybe help out with 10%. They said, guys, you need this plugin. Thank you very much, Sonic Projects. We already loved it prior to you being so generous and gifting it to us, but now we're going to demonstrate how much we love it, and frankly, it sells itself. So thank you, Peter, and everyone at Sonic Projects. So we haven't even yet replaced some of the sounds that we're using with these, and we're going to get around to that in the next week or so. That's probably the next part we're going to talk about, is how you have now dive in. When we learn songs, Lewis comes loaded. He's ready. Not loaded. He's ready. He's got the patches. They're ready to go. The splits are made. And that's, I think, what has really helped in terms of just being able to take your playing to the next level. The plugins are so close. You concentrate on the playing, the programming. Let's start with something that we use. We play Just What I Needed. Let's hear that lead. Awesome. Sounds great.
Oh yeah, that could be.
Sail Away solo. Let's hear it.
Let's see.
That's light years better.
I think it does a job. Yeah,
awesome. That is so much. It feels better than what we're currently using. Let's jump to Famous 3. Okay, let's pick a little bit of Foreigner. All right, give us the intro.
And then
Dead on. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. All right, let's load up some Jukebox Hero. Oh, try again.
And I can do the strings.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That sounds great. Sounds great. And it's just, they're so dead on, and just the
You
list.
even got Justin Bieber on there.
The list is great. We haven't even had a chance to talk about it yet, but these are incredible. Try just holding a chord.
Bubble Valley.
The arpeggio or the melody?
Arpeggio.
So awesome. These are sounds that, I mean, to pull that song off on a regular wavetable keyboard, absolutely impossible.
Oh,
So yeah, maybe some Who in our not too distant future. Just again, thank you so much to Sonic Projects. It will become a staple. We've got some work to do to switch the sounds from what we're currently using over to these, but I think everyone's going to hear a very sonic difference in how we sound in the coming months. So, I mean, there's never enough time to deep dive into every sound that you've created. I just think that now it adds a little bit more spotlight when you're listening to the band, when you're watching the band. The keyboards have such uniqueness, and it really is something where it's the work that you've done. And I want to say a huge thank you and congratulations to you in terms of the player that you've become, building all of this, understanding it, having an ear for what patches are right, the little tweaks. This one, you always blow my mind. It came out of nowhere, but give me the flanger bit in.
So here's a difference first from what I usually play in Life in the Fast Lane. Kind of sounds straightforward. But then when I get to the
middle break,
you can hear it kind of circular motion.
That flanger phaser kind of sound. And that's one where, again, you built that all on your own, and I love those surprises. I'm watching like everyone else, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, where did that come from? That's so cool. So
it sure was a learning experience, but over time, things to stick in your ear and you say, okay, I know what that is. And now, like, if I'm listening on the radio, I'm like, I know exactly what type of synth this is, you know, what it kind of sounds like.
When it comes to guitar, you often know.
Yeah.
This guy used this amp. They use this tube screamer pedal. You grab your guitar, you put it into a tube screamer, you send it to that amp. The sound is there. Right. Keyboards, it's a whole lot harder. And so, again, just we're fortunate that we have Apple MainStage and that we have someone that runs it as well as you do. Hope everyone found this informative. We didn't dive too deep. I know there's going to be lots of questions, and I know from fellow keyboard players, we're happy to answer. So drop them in the comments, and we'll do a deeper dive for you as we go throughout the summer. And so, Louis, huge thank you for demonstrating all of this, and thanks to all of you for watching at home.
Thank you all. Can't wait for the summer tour coming up.